The Louisiana Restaurant Association presents Conversations in the COVID Crisis, a special edition podcast to capture the stories of our industry during the most unprecedented of times. Now, Wendy Warren.
On this episode of the LRA's Conversations in the COVID Crisis, the legislature went back into session on Monday, May 4th, and you'll hear a recorded version of a Facebook Live interview with LRA President and CEO Stan Harris, Senators Sharon Hewitt and Senator Patrick McMath, and also Representative Blake Miguez, discussing the dire situation our industry is in right now and an important piece of legislation working its way through the process that will help us as an industry when we reopen. So listen for that. Following, you'll hear from the charbroiled oyster man himself, Tommy Satanovich, and he's going to talk about outdoor seating at Drago's at his 3 locations in Metairie, Baton Rouge, and Lafayette. And he'll pay a little homage to his mama. And then we'll hear from North Shore member Jeff Mateo of Pyre Provisions. He'll dish on his location and what's happening for him over on the North Shore. And then we'll close out with chapter president for the Baton Rouge area, Lisa Boudreau, owner of the Gilded Artichoke. And she'll tell us what she misses the most during the COVID crisis. Enjoy.
Another industry that we all love and that deserves our support and help as well is the restaurant industry. Stan Harris with the Louisiana Restaurant Association, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And let's start out. I want you to kind of help us frame this a little bit. Let's talk about, first of all, how many restaurant jobs you believe have been lost in Louisiana already as a result of this COVID crisis.
Well, we did a survey that projected 115,000, so I thought that was excessive until the Workforce Commission told us this week that they've had 112,400 first-time claimants. So I guess our data was pretty close.
Well, it's been staggering. I know, we all have friends that own restaurants, and they're struggling. They're trying to make things work a little bit with the pickup to-go orders and things like that, but it can't be anywhere near the level of business that they're accustomed to. Do you think that we've bottomed out yet on the restaurant business, or do you think that we have the opportunity to maybe continue to lose more jobs?
I think we'll continue to see first-time filings happen as people just don't understand what the future holds for them. The thing that restaurants and business wants to know is predictability. So if you're going to talk about a phase 1 reopening, why wouldn't you give them an idea that it's going to be 3 weeks so we can look at 2 weeks of data? And then phase 2 could be 3 weeks, and maybe phase 3, 3 weeks, and in 10 weeks, you're back to where you were before, at least from a capacity standpoint. It's that type of thinking, I think, that we've got to communicate, because we haven't done a real good job communicating to the business community how to do this. And as you guys know, these are small businesses. Most of my members do under $1 million a year. They have 15 to 20 employees. Their whole net worth is tied up in leasehold of a building they don't even own. So to tell them that they've got to wait 6-8 weeks before they can get back in business, that's preposterous. They don't have the capacity to do it. These are cash flow driven businesses.
And what do you think about the challenges that they may have in getting their employees to come back to work whenever we do get to reopen? Is that a concern for the folks in your industry?
Well, obviously it's a concern for those who are already thinking and projecting when they might reopen as to getting these folks back to work. The rules are that if you are called back to work and you reject that call back to work, that you're supposed to be ineligible for further unemployment insurance coverage. So I tell employers regularly every day, go to the Workforce Commission site, put in your number, and file Form 77 so that so the Workforce Commission knows that they have rejected the return to work, which is in essence a quit, which is a disqualification.
Well, I know that's been talked about quite a bit in terms of what do you do if your workers perhaps are making more money at home on unemployment than they were making in the restaurant? And restaurant owners, in many cases, have received the PPP, haven't they?
Some of them have. The PPP, I sit on our advocacy strategy at the national level as well, and we've been struggling with that because the 8-week time frame just doesn't work for a restaurant. We will not be back to 100% of our business in 8 weeks if I took the money last week. We will not be back to having all of our employees back so that we can get maximum forgiveness. So while it looks really nice, what I've told our members to do is treat it as inexpensive liquidity right now, and let's hope that we can get some rule changes done and some legislation changes. Our congressional delegations worked with us to do this. We just have to look at this differently because it may fit great for a technology company. It doesn't fit real well for a restaurant or retail company.
Well, Stan, I think you make some really great points. I'd like to bring in one of our senators from my neck of the woods on the North Shore, Senator
And mine too.
Yes, that's right. We're all from the North Shore. Is Patrick your senator? Senator McMath, is he your senator, Stan?
Yes, sir. Well, one of the things that I've talked to Senator McMath about is his bill, Senate Bill 508. Yesterday it came out of Jude A, where all good bills used to go and die. So to get that bill out of there was in my view, a real positive to show the restaurant industry and the business community that we really do want to do some things. Because one of the opponents to the bill made a comment to say, you're just protecting insurance companies with legislation like this. And my comment to Senator McMath was that's laughable because if I go to an insurance company, they're going to tell me my coverage doesn't cover for pandemics and virus. So I'm going to be the frontline person. We couldn't get anybody on the opposing side to say they wouldn't sue any restaurants or small businesses, but at least we had a good conversation about it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that we have Senator McMath with us on the line. Senator, are you there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We can. Welcome very much to welcome to the show. We're glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about Senate Bill 491.
Well, this is that's all right, Senator Hewitt. You got your hands full. First of all, Stan took my thunder a little bit. You basically said what I was going to say, Stan. But listen, as my constituent, I'll let that slide. Okay.
Thank you, Senator.
No, but listen. So you guys hit on the main point. So 508, it limits liability for restaurants for civil damages or injury as a result to donating or selling food during the COVID-19 crisis. It's as you said, Stan. It's a good bill. It's a pro-business bill, and it addresses some serious concerns and that restaurant owners and their employees have moving forward. When there's a lot of unknowns right now, and that's what's scary to people. And I think if we can give the restaurants, just a little bit of a safety net. And a little bit of backing, I think it would go a long way.
Senator, what are you seeing of restaurants in your neck of the woods?
Well, Senator Hewitt, they're struggling right. If they're open right now, they're struggling. They're doing their best to scrape by. They've set up to-go wars. They've tried to keep as many employees, but they're scared. They're scared for themselves. They're scared for their family's livelihood, and they're responsible, and they're concerned for their employees as well, and rightfully so. And so that was a lot of the nexus. I've got a bunch of friends in the restaurant business. My district encompasses a big chunk of western St. Tammany, which includes Mandeville and Abita Springs, Madisonville, and in Covington. And I didn't realize how much going out to eat meant to my wife and I. We've got 4 little kids, and so that was our escape. And it is something that I have sure missed. But we go out a lot when we can. And we've made friends with all these folks, all these restaurateurs, all the waiters, and so I have an opportunity to see them on the street or talk to them or check in with them, and they're scared and they're asking for help, and really that was the nexus of what why I wanted to introduce Senate Bill 508, and I am encouraged that we got it through the committee yesterday after what was a bit of a battle, and it's going to be moving to the Senate floor, and I'm looking forward to sending it over to the House where Representative Miguez's district, so you guys can take it from there.
Yeah, we look forward to having it.
Well, I'm really glad that you brought the bill, Senator McMath. It's one of a number of liability bills that we have filed this session to try to help protect businesses that have responded to the COVID crisis. And so, Stan, we look forward to continuing to work with you and the Restaurant Association. We appreciate everything that you all do. And I'm going to join Senator McMath, and we're going to be out dining in your facilities and your fine restaurants as soon as we're able. And I agree with you. We need to get the governor moving forward and giving us some predictability to know when we can continue to open up and get our businesses back moving.
We're off $700 million in April. Just think about that. $700 million in revenue statewide. That's unbelievable. So, and that's still with people working part-time. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
That's a tremendous business. So thank you, Stan. Senator, thank you very much. I look forward to working with you on the floor to move your bill forward.
Next on the podcast is one of my dear old friends, Tommy Satanovich of Drago's. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm impressed that you even admit to being close friends with me.
I know. I'm living on the edge here, y'all.
There you go.
I haven't seen his face in a very long time, but every time I see him and he calls me Miss Wendy, he's like one of the only people that calls me Miss Wendy. And I do miss that. And I miss going to Drago's in Metairie, which is right down the street from the office at the LRA. Do you want to tell me what's going on at your different locations and how y'all are handling everything?
Well, there's a pandemic going on, and it's screwing up business big time. Other than that, and then there's PPP, which helps a little bit, but nowhere near enough. And as most people know, I'm pretty good friends with Steve Scalise, and I can tell you I'm wearing him out. I really feel strongly that the 2-month window that we have to use the PPP is not enough. If they want to give us more money, that's fine. You know, there's all kinds of people talking about different tweaks to it. But for me, the one big tweak that will help out a lot is just push the expiration date or when we can stop using the forgivable funds and make it match up with the July 31st date of when the government stops giving the extra $600, which in Louisiana comes out to $847, per employee on unemployment.
Right.
If they push that time frame back for us, that would help out tremendously. Just that will help out tremendously.
Right. It's more in line with what we're, phased in approaches. We have no certainty right now, so.
Right.
And you don't want to pick up your employees for 8 weeks and then put them right back on unemployment.
Right. And then on top of that, I don't want to have to compete and that, for employees. We've got enough issues already. We've got enough issues with 25 or 30% or a third of our dining room, whatever the governor decides that we're going to end up having, as far as space and whether it's inside or outside, and food cost and who's coming back to work. We've got enough issues to worry about as owners. And so, at least take that one issue off the table for us.
Wouldn't that be nice? Well, that's what we're all hoping and we're all working towards. Tell me what's going on with your outside seating. And I want to again say for those of you in the back row or in the rafters that outdoor seating is not the same as outdoor dining from our perspective.
Right. Right now, we're basically what we're doing in all of our restaurants. It's working as to go and carry out. The people are able to sit at tables that we put in our parking lot. Like right now, I have in the Metairie location, I have 12 tables in our parking lot. I have a few umbrellas. I put up some. Went to the nursery and bought some trees and put up around around the area, and people go in, they order their food. It comes in to-go bags and boxes, and they go outside. They use single-use items and eat and drink, and then the only service that we provide outside is I have one busser that is walking around picking up the trash, throwing it in the garbage can, and then sanitizing the tables.
Yeah.
And that's it. And until the governor makes a change and our parish presidents or mayor make some decisions on what they're going to allow towards phase one, that's what we're stuck with. And the one good thing about this, Mother Nature has been pretty nice to us for these last 10 days, and has allowed us to be able to do this. Because as we all know, and just think about Jazz Fest, which just finished these last 2 weeks. In the past, sometimes Jazz Fest gets ruined by rain,
right,
or sometimes it's brutally hot. We haven't had either one of those two. So Mother Nature has been very, very nice to us.
So knock on wood. And
knock on wood. I'm knocking, and I'm not only hitting my head, I'm hitting the table.
So I want you to talk about your mom for a minute, because this is the Mother's Day episode. So for those who don't know, Tommy is in business with his mother. Do you want to tell us about her?
I'm 61 years old. I have 5 restaurants. I got buku employees. I got, all of this. And my mama still signs my paycheck, and she's here every single day.
And how's she holding up?
She's doing pretty well. My brother, being a doctor, has been wearing her out about social distancing and hand washing and sanitation and wearing a mask. And we've been lucky. Last year we purchased the building next door, and
in Metairie,
turned it into her office. Yeah, the Metairie restaurant turned it into her office. So now she's kind of got like her little palace off to the side where she stays. Some people can come social distance and visit. She kind of sticks her head out, comes into it's connected to the restaurant. So it's very, very comfortable for her. So that actually has been a good thing. But look, she's an 81-year-old Croatian. Some people call her a Croatian woman. I call her Croatian battle axe. She's tough as nails. She's doing fine. And
tell Mom I said hello.
I will. So she's hanging in there.
All right. Well, tell her I said hello and happy Mother's Day, and to all the mothers out there. Are you guys doing anything special for Mother's Day at Drago's locations?
We're doing some pre-orders, and that people will take home, and then we're going to be. All of our restaurants will have the regular menus that we've been rolling with lately. Mm-hmm. It looks like Mother Nature is going to be nice again to us on Sunday, and I'm going to load up the parking lot with tables. I'm going to take a bunch of tables out of the restaurant, put them on the other side of the parking lot, so we have extra tables and chairs out there. And on top of that, we're going to have the little sanitizer bottles like we always do. Mm-hmm. But half of the tables are not going to have the umbrellas. And Coca-Cola only had a certain amount of umbrellas they're giving me. And the other side of the table is going to have they're going to have bottles of sunscreen next to the sanitizers.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good game plan. If you're hearing this and you need a Mother's Day, I would say reservations, but we're not there yet.
We're not going to do reservations
yet.
No
reservations.
It's first come, first serve outside. And
that was a slip of the tongue. I forgot where I was.
Although I'd love to be able to do that.
Wouldn't it be
it's
nice?
Going to be, we just have to, again, hopefully the governor's going to give us good news next week. And at least we'll be able to start getting to our new normal. And then eventually, whether it's 6 months or 3 months or a year or 18 months or longer, a way to getting to back to what we all are back normal.
Yeah. Well, from your lips to God's ears. And with that, I'll let you get back to work. I know you got a lot on your plate. And thank you for taking the time and being a member of the LRA.
It's always a pleasure talking to you and Stan, and getting information and just passing on my BS. And it's always a pleasure talking to y'all.
All right, babe. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sweetheart.
Okay,
take care. Bye-bye.
Next up on the podcast is Jeff Mateo, owner of Pyre Provisions on Highway 21 in Covington. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I live in the dream right here in self-isolation. I'm, chomping at the bit to get back to seeing people.
Yeah, no, us too. We appreciate everything that everyone's doing for us, and the takeout's carrying the restaurant through, and
well, that's good to hear.
Keeping us out there in the public's eye.
So tell me, you guys opened up for your outdoor seating area over this past weekend and this week. How's that been going for you guys?
Well, I mean, it's going well. We've had a couple couples came in, maybe 5 or 6 on Friday, maybe same on Saturday. But the bigger problem with what they did is the social distancing or the restraints the state put on us as far as tables having to be 10 feet apart. So it really doesn't allow you to maximize your outdoor dining the way you would if we were in regular
right.
world. But we did see some traffic. We're seeing a good more with the takeout, but it's a little awkward where they have to get the takeout, then come out and sit in our patio. It's not like we can't wait on them. We can't go out and say hi to them.
Right.
We can't do the things that restaurants are made to do.
Right. So that's kind of, this is definitely an interim situation. The weather's nice outside. I think the governor probably meant this more for individuals, as a benefit for individuals, because do you think it was a benefit for you, or was it uncomfortable?
No, it definitely was not a benefit for the restaurants.
Yeah, I think that, it was a good thought. The weather's nice outside, but I think it's very awkward to have, we're constantly reminding people that it's not outdoor dining, it's outdoor seating, because dining implies that there is table service, and this is not that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, and also when you're in a stay-at-home order with people worried about the virus, I mean, we have our restaurant commercially cleaned at once a week, and then we obviously are doing cleaning and sanitizing every day to try to minimize any risk for anyone. But even still, it's the first thing on people's minds. I mean, so they rather just take it to go and go home because they feel safer. Yeah.
So the public trust is still something that we're, as an industry, trying to rebuild. And,
yes, absolutely.
One of the things we're hearing is like visible signs of cleaning is going to be very important for your customer base going forward. They're going to, I'm like, does that mean you want to walk in and see the mop bucket and the Clorox wipes? I'm
honestly more worried about the servers having to wear masks and you walking in thinking you're in a hospital or something.
I know, so weird. It's learning how to smile with your eyes. Like when you're wearing a mask, that's pretty much all you see. So yeah. I feel you on all of that, and I thank you for taking the time, and I wish you the best of luck, and I thank you for your membership in the LRA, because without you guys, we don't exist. So I very much appreciate that.
Well, and without you guys, we don't have a voice in Congress and everywhere we need the voice. So.
Next up on the podcast, we're talking to Lisa Boudreau-Lecoq, who is the owner of the Gilded Artichoke Catering Company in Zachary, Louisiana, just a little bit north of Baton Rouge proper. And she's going to tell us what she has been missing the most. How you doing?
Well, Wendy, I have to be honest with you. This is a great question because we've been discussing this with my group of friends who we do Zoom brunch every Sunday, believe it or not. We sit outside and do a Zoom brunch. And we all agree, and a lot of this group of friends actually are in the restaurant industry or wine distribution. And so I think for me, along with most people in this industry, we miss the human interaction because we're all people.
Right. We're in the people business.
We are in the people business. And I'm lonely. Like, I need to see people. I want to see people on a regular basis. I miss the interaction with humans first and foremost, but just the interaction of, for me as a caterer, being able to celebrate with people for whatever their special occasion is, and then also to think about making people happy with what we serve, or it's just the whole package of being interaction with others.
Yeah.
And that's what I miss the most.
Well, if you're not familiar with Lisa's work, you can follow her on Instagram and see these beautiful photos that she takes of her spreads of, cuisine. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's breathtakingly beautiful photographs of your, inspiring cuisine.
You are so sweet.
I definitely follow you very closely because they're so pretty.
On occasion, I actually have to tell myself to stop. I could just keep building those displays. I mean, you could probably catch me at the end of the wedding still putting it together if you let me do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I really would. I do believe that I would just sit there and keep working on it. And so I have to tell myself to stop at some point, and I have to take a breath and like, okay, enough.
Enjoy.
Enough.
Stop fooling with it. So tell me, you're the Baton Rouge chapter president this year as well. And what is it like to not be able to do that as a volunteer right now? I'm sure that's kind of part of the lonely.
It has been difficult, and I'm a very transparent person, so I don't mind sharing my story, my personal story, which is just the feeling of being overwhelmed and exhausted from trying to reformat your business to fit the needs that are out there currently with what's going on, but also just to take a step back and look at what is really happening on a personal basis with each and every restaurateur who some have excelled during this time and found a new avenue for revenue, and it's easy, whereas others have not been as successful at, and it's a real struggle. And there's been days where I've literally talked to some of the board members, and it's not been for information like what we're accustomed to calling each other as friends and colleagues and asking like, who's the best person to do the job, or, vendor, or are you having trouble with this particular issue, and collaborating on it. Whereas now it's more of people, we're calling each other just to vent and to check in on each other. And, our frustrations are kind of leading the conversation. But by the time we get all of that out and said and done, at the end of it, we're like, hey, man, I'm really glad that you called because I needed to hear from you. Or I just needed to, tell you, I needed to relay some of my struggles right now to somebody that would 100% understand. A lot of us go home to spouses that do not work in this industry. So to have a conversation with them at such a level of disparity is almost like talking to a wall. There's not a lot of back and forth like, hey, man, I really understand what you're going through, because it's a completely different set of rules that we play with.
Yeah,
but I do miss the us getting together, because we do share a lot of conversations and a lot of history together, and especially in the Baton Rouge area, we're a very close group of people. We've been together for quite some time. I mean, look, this is my 25th year in the restaurant industry as a whole, and I look back on all of these people that sit on the board, or even some of the newbies that I've known for many, many years that are getting involved. And so it's a great group of friends to collaborate with, and I miss them.
Yeah.
I want us to all get together and have like this epic dinner party so that we can just like hang out. I'm at that point.
Yeah. We'll get there soon enough.
That's the truth.
I truly believe it. And this will be, before long, this will be a distant memory. Well, I appreciate you taking the time from your schedule and your little girl, who I also think is adorable and follow very closely. So
she's such a stinker, I tell you. I caught her. She had climbed to the top of the stack of Shivari chairs that are here at my shop. And I looked over at her, and she was like at the very top of like 6 chairs. I was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?"
Yes,
this is
indeed.
not a jungle gym.
Well, I'll talk to you soon. Best of luck. We'll be back together before you know it. I truly believe we're going to be stronger because of it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody real soon.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the LRA's Conversations in the COVID Crisis. If you have a story idea, email communications@lra.org. Visit www.lra.org for the latest on COVID-19 resources for restaurateurs. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Until next time, stay safe, everybody. And remember, we at the LRA are working harder than ever for Louisiana's restaurant industry.